it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. I'm a UK-based independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Thank you for joining me today. Sorry this video has come out much later than I planned. It has been a bit of a nightmare of a 24 hours. Long story short, the UK government have now put us into a form of lockdown. We're allowed to go out to have one amount of exercise each day, so we can go for a cycle ride, a run, a walk, walk the dog, that sort of thing. Not that we have a dog. But other than that, it is stay indoors, other than for medical reasons, non-coronavirus. You mustn't go to the doctors if you suspect you have coronavirus, but picking up medication and essential shopping, food shopping. All shops pretty much have been closed down other than a very restricted list. So it's been an interesting day getting to the pharmacy to get the medication that myself and my husband take on a regular basis, and closing down the parish council playgrounds because I'm on the parish council. It's been fun. So I'm here to have some fun with you guys. So this is the challenge for the spot, or it's the project that I've made for the spot challenge. We have a colour challenge this time. It's a weekly challenge, so you've got just under a week to enter the challenge. All the details are on my website, and you can find that by clicking the link to the associated blog post below. So the colours, you have a choice of Grapefruit Grove, Early Espresso, Basic Grey, Blushing Bride, Rococo Rose and Soft Seafoam. You may either use all 6 or any 3. You can't use 4 and you can't use 5 and you can't use 2. It's 3 or all of them. And I have chosen Basic Grey, Early Espresso and Grapefruit Grove. So let me show you my project, which is this one. Using the Timeless Tropical stamp set and die bundle. This is in the mini catalogue. If you buy the bundle, you get 10% off both the stamp set and the dies. The stamps that I'm using today I've already got out. But we've got a pineapple, we've got palm trees, we've got leaves, we've got feathers, we've got all sorts of things. So lots of fun things to die cut. And then palm trees, flowers, leaves, little pineapple and some sentiments. And they are some really nice sentiments. So actually quite useful for now. Maybe not May Your Birthday Be Memorable, because, well, it will be memorable, because if you're in the UK, it will be like no other birthday you've ever had. Our friendship is timeless. Rest and relax, you deserve it, which kind of at the moment we are being forced into resting and relaxing, other than those of us who have online businesses who are ramping everything up, of course. Thank you for the moment, that is brilliant. And hello, absolutely, we need to be keeping in touch with friends and family, and certainly in the UK we're still using the Royal Mail. Some things are taking a little longer than usual to get out to people, but we are still being allowed to use the Royal Mail. So this is my project, and I have used, you can see there's Grapefruit Grove, Basic Grey and Early Espresso. I have done some prep just so that we can speed things up a wee bit, but I haven't prepped everything. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got a scrap of Grapefruit Grove. I've got my stamp already mounted up on my block. I have a scrap of paper, and you can see that I've been using the same scrap of paper. So I need my Early Espresso, and I'm going to ink up my large flower with Early Espresso and stamp it off very quickly, and then stamp properly. So very quickly is just a touch and lift, and then stamp properly is actually hold it in place for a while so that the ink can pass across. And there we have a nice, not too dark stamped image. Now if I just ink up, and I'll just stamp on the back full strength, I felt that was too dark. It's only gone down a notch, but that for me was too dark. So as I say, I've gone down a notch. So I've done the same with the small flower, but I have prepared. So I'm just going to die cut this one, and then I will, when I have found the stamp set that I've put all the way over the other side of my desk. I really must tidy up my desk. If you saw my Facebook post, I posted a picture of one of my cats crawling over the desk. How she managed to get on it, I do not know, because basically it's just covered in rubbish and I need to have a tidy up. But as you may have noticed, my website went down last night as well, so that was fun. All coming at once. So I'm just getting everything ready to die cut. This is the only thing that I haven't prepped. Everything else is prepped and ready to go, and we can just talk through it. So there's my die cut shape. Now, what I want to do, now obviously it's got ink on the back, which is not ideal, but that's the full strength. I've got an empty, this is actually a stamping mist spray bottle filled with water. The clue is on the label. And I'm going to spritz on the back. Now, you won't get that nasty smudge. In fact, let me get rid of some of that nasty smudge so that I don't end up completely filthy. What I want you to do is to just crinkle up your card, and I'm getting a little bit inky, but never mind. So I want this to be crinkled and left to dry, which is why I've done some prep. So that I will tuck away and bring out the Blue Peter special of, here's some I've prepared earlier. So I have got that one ready, I've got the little flower ready, and I've also die cut the three separate flowers. They come in one die, so it's one pass of your machine, and they're tied together. I've also die cut the Aloha, which I have now managed, oh there it is, which I've die cut this 3 times and stuck it together, and I will come back to how I finished that off in a moment, because it's kind of special. So let me grab that as well. The basic grey I've die cut using the, I can't remember what it's called, but it's in the mini catalogue, and it's part of the Tropical Suite, which is in here somewhere. There we are, Timeless Tropical. It is the Coastal Weave 3D embossing folder. So it's one of our new embossing folders, so it needs the blue plate. So I've popped that through with my basic grey, and I've just done simple pass through. I have got a piece of Whisper White to use for the inside as well. So let me just pop everything together, because it is really quite simple to put together. We do need the Tropical Oasis trinkets as well. I've got a piece of the braided burlap. I think it's called braided burlap, but again, it's part of the suite, and I will list it both below and on my website. Now, I find the easiest way and most efficient way to adhere this is with a piece of tear and tape. It is about 1/4 of an inch wide, as is the tear and tape, so it does work quite well. And tear and tape is a good, strong adhesive, so is a good way of getting something that can be a little bit awkward to stay in place. Now, the real trick is to get the paper backing off, but there we go. Now, I want this so that it's hanging off the end a bit, and I want it about 1 inch, 2 centimetres, 2.5 centimetres up. But I do want it hanging off the edge of my mat, and also it's going to be hanging off the card. Now, I always put the dimensions on my website, so again, associated blog post below. So, first thing to do is to grab my, you can see I did the same thing before, grab my multi-purpose liquid adhesive, and the stamen is kind of coming up here, and I want this, again, I'm not too worried if it's a little bit off the edge. In fact, let's bring it down a wee bit. I think sometimes it can be quite nice to have things slightly off the edge. So I'm just going to hold that in place while it adheres properly. It is sticking onto a non-flat surface, so we are asking quite a bit of it. And then same again with the small flower, and I'm just tucking that in so that it's over the braid but underneath the larger flower. And then these little guys, I have got an ink dauber with early espresso and just popped some early espresso on the edge. Trust me, it's better to do it before you stick it down rather than deciding after you've stuck it down that that would be a good idea. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I changed my mind partway through. So again, I'm going to have that slightly off the edge. Should have another one. There it is. Oops. Apparently this one wants to be stuck on next. So we will stick it on next. I do like my little triangles. Those of you that follow me even a little regularly will know that. It just sort of seems right somehow. Our eye likes it. Now, I had this one going under that one. Doesn't matter. Let's have it going over the top this time. And again, just holding it in place whilst it gets a good key. So the Aloha, as I say, I cut this 3 times in Grapefruit Grove, and I've then used some of our fine tip glue, which I know is not available in Europe at the moment, sorry, but some of the fine tip glue to do a nice glaze. I'm going to see if I can catch that at all. Hopefully that is catching a wee bit. And now I have used double-sided adhesive just for speed, but otherwise you can use just little dots of your regular Tombow. And then I'm just going to pop that down in the bottom left-hand corner and then just press that down. I'm going to press it from the back so I can give it a good rub, and that's now nicely in place. Okay, final stretch. Certainly final stretch for the outside, then we just need to finish the inside and we are good to go. Take your pick tool, which I've actually found. I'm going to pop a large gold glitter dot in the middle of my small flower, and a large medium. We've got large mediums and small mediums, and then we've got teeny weenies. So a large medium, a small medium, and a teeny weeny on those. And then the final touch for the outside is one of these trinkets, and I've taken one of the hibiscus flowers again, and assuming I can find them, you see I very carefully made sure I could see my large dimensionals, and oh, there they are. One small dimensional. Now, the reason I'm using a dimensional rather than a glue dot is, can you see, you may not be able to, gosh, my hands need hand cream. Can you see that there is a dip, and it's the same both sides? So rather than risking a glue dot not adhering properly, I'm using a dimensional because that will go into the dip and then leave us with a nice flat surface to adhere to our card. So that I'm just going to tuck in at the bottom there. And that is the outside of our card done. So the only thing I need to do for the inside is our sentiment and the flower. So sentiment, flower. And those are at full strength. So I haven't actually used basic grey ink, I've used basic grey card. So I'm going to use full strength of early espresso, which I have buried. There we go. I really must tidy my desk. So early espresso, rest and relax, you deserve it. Goes there. And close that before I put a fist in it. Grapefruit Grove for our small flower. And I need my scrap of paper again, because that's going to come off the bottom edge of the card. So ink that up with Grapefruit Grove and stamp And there we go. So close that as well. And we can then put everything together. So, half a sheet of early espresso. Doesn't matter whether you cut it long and thin or short and fat. I do it long and thin because it's easier for my photography, but short and fat is fine as well. I always used to do short and fat until I realised that it was much easier to do long and thin and get a decent photograph, because it means I can then stand it so that you can just peek inside to see the little bit at the bottom. Glue. Because this is ordinary Whisper White, I do like to put my adhesive onto my base card rather than onto the Whisper White. I find it is less likely to have any little ridges. You can use snail. I'm not averse to snail, but I just prefer liquid adhesive, particularly as I'm going to be using liquid adhesive for the back of this because it is a rough surface, so it's much better to use a liquid adhesive, and I will use more than I would usually use, just so that I know that some of the raised areas are going to adhere to the card. And again, turn over and press from the back, and there is our beautiful card. So I hope you enjoyed that. Do go and have a look at everything over on my website. It's a very, very short post at the moment. I will do something about that now that I'm catching up a wee bit, so it will get a bit better than it was first thing this morning, or at 11 o'clock UK time this morning. Have a go at entering the challenge. There is no prize other than knowing that you won. That will be announced next, where are we, Tuesday. So do take the time to have a look at the challenge. There's lots of design team inspiration over on the Spot Challenge website, so have a look at that. And not everyone has used the same colour scheme as me, obviously. There's a beautiful array of inspiration, so please go and have a look at that. And as I say, you can get there by going to my website, which is linked below, and then clicking on the link that is there. Dimensions are on my website. Everything I've used today is both below and over on my website. And of course, if you're in the UK, I am a small business that is going to be struggling as much as anybody during this interesting time. So if you do feel inclined to pop an order in, that would be great. At the moment, orders are getting filled actually quite quickly, and they're getting out of our warehouse and across to the UK remarkably quickly. So certainly for the moment, those things are still working for UK deliveries. Obviously things will change on a daily basis, and I will keep you up to date with all those changes as and when I know them. Thank you very much indeed for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you with a little bit more normality tomorrow. Bye!